Welcome back, YouTubers, friends, and family. I hope you're enjoying the build series here we're doing on the 308 Winchester. We're to the last stages now, and I'm going to do two different videos to bring this to a closure. I'm going to do the first video on doing the primer, the powder, the bullet seating, and the crimping on the Lee single stage press. And then I'm going to do the next video doing the same process on the turret press. I'm going to time both processes, knowing that the turret press is going to be a little bit faster, but let's just see how much faster. Stick around. I think you're going to enjoy this. So this is pretty much where we left off last time, except I have now added the perfect powder measure. That's what Lee calls this device. This is what distributes the powder into the case. I still have the single stage press here, and since I had that set up, I thought I'd go ahead and do 20 cases with the single stage and then do 20 cases with my turret press, timing both to see which one is faster. I've not tried this before with doing both in comparison, so let's see what we have. Now I have already set this up, which it makes it really simple, by the way, is I have the case holder into the ram. I already have the large priming tool in the ram, so these two things are already set up. I have in the top here, this is the same resizing die we had before, so I'm twisting it, taking it out, and then now is the bullet seating die. I'm going to take it now and insert it in. I'm using a quick change bushing that allows me to stick it in and then twist, and it will then lock into place. The bushing looks like that. You simply just screw the die into here, and then this allows you to insert, twist, and it locks in place. It makes it a really quick and easy way to exchange it. Setting this up, you will then raise the ram all the way. You will screw in this die until it just does touch the case holder. Then you'll lower this, screw this in 1/4 turn, and then lock it into place with this bolt, with this nut. That then makes this the right height. The little screw knob on top is what you would use then to adjust the seating depth of the bullet into the case. So when you're done, you will have the bullet come down to the right depth and just be at the right height on the case. There's a overall length that you're going for, and in this case it's 2.75 inches. So you'll have your calipers. You're going to then make sure of this height. 2.750. Hope you can see that is what you're going for when you're done. So the steps are here. You'll use, this is the primers. They're loaded into this primer feed, which then they go down this little channel into the device here, which will then insert the primer into the case. So you have an empty case here. What you're going to do is stick it into the primer or into the case holder, raise it up. You'll pull this over, push it over, and then this will insert a primer into the primer feed tool here. When you lower the ram, it'll come to the bottom, and then you just insert the primer into the primer pocket. And that's all there is to that. You just need to make sure that the primer is below the case rim so that you don't have any slam fires. You're then going to take it to your powder measure. Up and then back down. Now I've already set my scale to be the right number of grams for this load. So I know what my load is supposed to be. I've already set this. I've zeroed the scale and then set it for the right amount. And I'm going to pour that in to verify that I have this set properly. The silver part here, this is the chamber where the powder fills. This rod here is what allows you to screw it in or out to then set the chamber for the right amount of cc's. This is actually a cc measurement, not a grain. So in this case, it's just over 3 is where it's set. So the volume going into here is about 3 cc's, which then converts over here to in the range I'm looking for. I've already got it set for the amount I want. In this case, it's about 42. It's 42 grains. So we now know that this is set. We now know that the powder is coming out in the right measurement. I'm going to now just put this to the side and then feed this. You visually inspect to make sure you have powder in, and then I lower the ram, and I lower it so that at this point it's holding this case in place. I take my bullet, which is in this case it's a Hornady SST 30 caliber 308 inch, and then 165 grains. Take the bullet, insert it into the case, and then raise the ram. Now that sets the bullet. As you come back out, you can inspect it to make sure that it's about the right height. You'll notice that there are some grooves in this particular bullet that just touch the top of the end of the case. I measure this, and because I've got this set properly, it's now at 2.75 inches. If it was too shallow, I would open it up. If I needed it to be seated further down, I would then twist it to the right. But now I've got a completed case. Now a completed cartridge. That's done. So now let's do this. Let's go ahead and set this for 20. And I'll see if I'll do these 20 here, and then we'll time that to see how it works out. Okay, now what you've seen is I've done 20 bullets, 20 cartridges in just under 10 minutes. And I did stop at the 10th cartridge to measure my powder, to measure my depth, bullet seating depth, to make sure that I still had everything pretty much on target. I do that about every 10th bullet to make sure that all my settings are correct. Something else that I normally really just don't do during this stage is that I don't distract myself with watching television or movies or anything else. I'm focused on what I'm doing. I want this to be a safe procedure. I don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize my safety or the safety of others. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this bullet seating die, and I'm going to insert the crimp die, which then will be the final stage of the build for these 20 cases. So stand by. We'll do that right now. So now what you've seen me do is exchange the die, put the crimp die into the bushing, insert the bushing, and set then the depth for this. I raise the ram until this just does touch. Insert it 1/4 turn more, lock it down, and now I'm ready to go. So what this is going to do is make sure that the top of the case is crimped around that bullet. This is a step that I like to do. It's a step that's recommended by Lee, but it's also a step that some people decide they don't want to do. Not me. I'm going to do it because I've had the situation where when this case was fired, that the recoil was so dramatic that it actually began to unseat bullets that were in the magazine. That's happened to me at the range when I would have a bullet, it wouldn't chamber properly. I started noticing that the bullet had crept out of the case, and that was from the recoil of the rifle. So I do now crimp this bullet. It's a one-step deal. You insert the case into the case holder, raise the ram, and then that then crimps the bullet. It crimps the case and puts a little bit of a hold on that bullet so it doesn't come out. It's an important step that I like to do. So let's go ahead and time this. There's the one I dropped on the floor. So there we have the 20 bullets now have been done. That's 2:15, let's say. So we add another 2 minutes and 15 seconds to the build process. You now have a completed cartridge. So there's the 20 that we started with, 20 cases, 20 primers, 20 powder loads, and 20 bullets on top. All this is now done. We're now complete with the build on the single stage press. What I'm going to do now is, for the next video, is I'm going to dismantle this operation, bring up my turret press, and show you how to set it and get it ready. We're also going on the turret press, we're going to use the auto powder measure, which is a double stack. So I'll show you how to set that up. But for now, we've built those 20, and now we'll see what the total time is. And always, thanks for watching, guys, and just know that if you like this stuff, just go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We're going to do some more similar builds on videos. So now let's take a look at how much time it took to build using the Lee single stage press. We did the primer insert, we did the powder, we did the bullet seat. That took 9 minutes and 30 seconds, and then we added on the crimp, which took another 2 minutes, for a total build time for those 20 cases of 11 minutes 30 seconds. That then added to the other times for the deprime and reshape, case trim, crimp removal, uniform primer pocket, cartridge builds, crimp. The total time is 38 minutes and 25 seconds to build 20 cartridges. So total time to build is 38 minutes 25 seconds. That is plus or minus about 1:55 per cartridge. Using that time, we can calculate how long it will take to build 20, 100, 500, and 1,000 cartridges. And you're looking at these times here. Really, that's not bad. 500 cartridges is only 15 hours and 50 minutes. You might could do that in a weekend. 100 is only 3 hours and 10 minutes. The 1,000 is going to take you about a man week, 31 hours and 40 minutes. Now let's look at a cost to build versus buy. I buy my cases on the internet. I get about 1,000 cases for about $65, or about 6.5 cents each. Primers are a whopping 4 cents a piece. Powder. I buy a pound of powder. It's $35 a pound. In that, there are 7,000 grains. I used 42 grains per cartridge for a 21 cent per cartridge cost for powder. And then the bullet. The bullet, I use Hornady SST 165 grains. I buy those with shipping for about $30 a hundred, or about 30 cents a piece. So now let's take a look at how that works out for these same quantities, 20, 100, 500, and 1,000. My cost to build is only $12.30 for those 20 cartridges. Locally, the cheapest 308 ammunition I can find is about $20 or $1 a cartridge. So you're seeing a pretty good savings off the least expensive cartridge I can find here locally. 1,000 cartridges is only going to cost you $615 to build. But I'm not building a cheap round. I'm building a top-rated cartridge. I'm using some of the best powder available. I'm using really good primers, and the bullets are top shelf all the way. So if you look online to buy a similar bullet using the Hornady SST 165 grain, this is your cost for 20. It's $28.99. $144.95 for the 100 cartridges. And you move up to 1,000, that's $1,449.50. So total cost savings for me to build the same bullet, the same cartridge, is about a 58% savings build versus buy. So this now gives you an example of what kind of savings you could look at if you were to build versus buy. Well, I hope you enjoyed the build. We've now completed 20 cartridges using the Lee single stage press. We've timed it, and I've even shown you how much the cost was for the parts to build those 20 cases. We're going to now move over to the Lee turret press, which we know is a little faster, but let's just see how much faster. So we'll time both. You've seen now the Lee single stage. The next video will be the Lee turret press. Stick around. It's a lot of fun.